First of all, I want to thank the leadership of the SPLM for giving me the trust to be interim secretary general of the party. Whenever you take on a new leadership role, there is always an anxiety that comes out with it. But when I took over, I had a specific program that I want to deliver. So I was not so much filled with the stress of new position because I knew what I was going to do.
Okay, can you tell us what are some of these programs, especially the major priorities program that you have already in your mind that you want to execute after you assume this very important office?
You know, when I took the oath of office, I did not take the oath the way we normally take it. During that process, I delivered the program I wanted to do. One of the things that I said I was going to do was to create harmony within the SPLM, to have unity or purpose among the leaders of the SPLM, and to unite ourselves under Comrade Salva Kiir Mayardit, whom we will have to take us forward during the transitional period. That was number one. Number two was that we need to organize the SPLM from grassroots level all the way to the national level, because after the dissolution of 32 states, all the SPLM offices in the states and administrative areas were affected. So we needed to reconstitute the SPLM, and that is one of the priorities I have been doing. And we have visited and we have worked in Ruweng administrative area. We set up the SPLM in all the counties, in Payams and Bomas. We went to Eastern Equatoria, we did the same, and we are planning to go to the other states and other administrative areas. The third priority that I have is that SPLM manifesto must be implemented by SPLM government. And that has been the challenge since 2005. Because the agenda of the SPLM has not been the one being implemented by the government which it leads. So we are working very hard with our cadres to make sure our cadres in government to make sure that SPLM agenda is implemented so that South Sudanese can benefit from it. That's why sometimes you see me going from office of a minister to another office. We are discussing the priorities of SPLM that we need to see in practice in the communities. Priority number 4 has to do with ensuring that the party raises funds to be able to run its own activities. And we have been embarking on that since day one when I took the office, and we are continuing to see some results. Number 5 is that we want to build our international relations. We want to build an image of South Sudan that is presentable and mend relations with political parties and governments that used to help us during the national liberation struggle. And priority number 6 is the agenda for the next elections. We are developing an agenda for SPLM to use as a platform for 2023 general elections. So these are the priorities we have been working on. It's a robust program, but we are managing and we are trying to achieve as much as possible before that time comes.
Why implementing some of these priorities? What are the challenges you are facing in regards to these programs that you read out now?
The challenges are that you always have logistical challenges. You always have, South Sudan is a big country. And when your mission is to organize a party from Bomas all the way up, and we are in a country now where people have been displaced by insecurity, people have been displaced by floods. It is very difficult. But I'm so thankful to our cadres in the states that they have been able to reach out to our people, and we have been able to register our members. And these registrations have been going on very well. Our people love the SPLM and the grassroots. Our problem, I know, is concentrated here in Juba. In the countryside of South Sudan, people love themselves. It is us here who are looking for positions that are creating all kinds of instabilities for our people. So that is one. Number 2, of course, creating harmony within an organization is not easy. but it is management. It requires diplomatic and constructive engagement skills, which we are trying to manage. We hope that we are in the right direction.
When you talk of harmony, what do you mean here? Are you telling us the SPLM in itself is not they are not in good harmony?
Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that the threat of SPLM is not from a political party that competes with SPLM. It is SPLM itself. And so if we are not able to bring ourselves together and unite under one objective led by Comrade Salva, we can easily slip again from the vision of our party. So we want to make sure that we follow the right path. We follow the one way that we have decided as leadership of the party, that this is the direction that SPLM wants to take us, and we must follow. Because we are a big party, and when you are a big party, there are many divergent views. And these views need to be harmonized. It is part of management of a political party.
When also you said actually the issue is the party itself, the members. What do you think? What is that factor that led to some people not to really adhere to the principles and you know of the party?
You know, sometimes not everyone has the virtue of waiting. And it is always ambitions that always create problems. When people wait for their turns to come, when people listen to, when collectivity becomes the major way of doing things, then you will have no problem. But when people are now beginning to think in a different ways, this is where the problem happens. And for us, we are going for convention. And if we are going for convention, we need to create that unity now before we get there. Because what happened in 2013 was that there were problems happening in the party, but there was no management of the crisis in the party. And people went to the meeting as though crisis can be resolved in a meeting. You resolve crisis before you go for the meeting. And so for us, we need to do things differently. We cannot do things the same old ways, which did not work. So we have to ensure that now we create that kind of unity within the party.
Okay, from the visit that you had to different states, including the 3 administrative areas, what did you learn from the people on the ground in regards to their needs exactly? What do they want from the ruling party exactly?
What they want from SPLM is that SPLM provides services for them. This is what they want, number one. Number two, they want the war to stop. And they tell me, go back to Juba, tell our chairman, tell our president, we need peace. Because when peace comes, we can do our small things where we are and be able to live our lives. They are tired of rebellions, they are tired of transitional governments, they need a stable government that can deliver services. So that is one of the things that I have found in the countryside. The other thing is that people love SPLM in the countryside. And I was amazed. A little young boy in Ruweng administrative area. We were moving from Pariang, going to a place called Jamjang. There's a small primary school along the road. They were told that I was passing by the road. So the students came outside. They were lined up on the road. So I came down to greet them. And when I came down to greet them, one of the members from our team asked a young child, SPLM mana tushunu. He's about 6 years old. Salu asma SPLM mana tushunu. Gal mana SPLM da panaru zatu. So because the Dinka of the area are called Dinka Panaru. Aye. So for that child, SPLM and Panaru are the same things. That means the ideology of the SPLM is in the minds of our people. And I was really happy with that experience. So our people love SPLM. What we need to do is SPLM now, it is time for us to deliver those services that they need most, so that they are appreciated for their participation in the liberation struggle. What their moms and dads did during the war need to be now paid back to them in terms of services.
You touched something about the issue of manifesto, and you said very well that you immediately after you assume your office, you had that program moving from one office to another. with the minister in the office of the ministers that are holding the position of the SPLM. What was your assessment in terms of delivering the manifesto that the SPLM had for them, for the people?
Our cadres have in mind the manifesto of the SPLM. The problem is delivery. And the delivery is made impossible.
Why is it impossible?
Because of lack of resources. You will find that the ministry has a budget, but because of war, the money doesn't come. There is no budget to implement big projects. That has been the bottleneck for them. It's not that no one really plans to fail. Like nobody is appointed as a minister and they go to that ministry with a plan that I want to fail. No. Everyone wants to win.
But also remember some of these members. Remember some of these members of the SPLM. They have been there since 2005 when the war, South Sudan war, did not begin. And by then there is that huge amount of money given to them, but they have done nothing completely.
I would accept that there has been mismanagement somehow, but it is not the only explanatory variable. Take it like this. From 2005 to 2011, the preoccupation in South Sudan was preparing for a referendum. And you remember, Sudan refused to fund the referendum. Our South Sudanese government made the money available for the referendum to take place. Had we not had a wise minister at that time, Minister of Finance, we would have failed the referendum because there was no money coming from Sudan or the international community. So that period, 2005 to 2011, was a period of referendum, and we were all engaged in that, and most of our funds were engaged to that. From 2011 to 2012 or 2013, this was now the time for us to really engage in development. But then what happened? Power struggle took place in 2012, about February. We had a problem within the party. Some of our cadres now decided they wanted to challenge the chairman, and the preoccupation was now who was going to be the president of South Sudan, or the chairman of SPLM, and ultimately the president of South Sudan. And then from 2013 up to today, we have been engaged in war. And I can tell you, development and war are opposite. You cannot have war and at the same time also development. It doesn't take place like that. And when there is war, of course, everything goes to the national emergency. You cannot be developing. You will be protecting yourself. So that is what has happened. Really, we have not been given a chance. SPLM has not been given a chance to implement its manifesto. And we are hopeful that with this peace agreement, and after what has happened in the last 2 days, the agreement between the parties on the issue of command structure, hopefully now we are going to have a smooth transition where we can transition to a peaceful election, and after that now the development agenda can be implemented.
Okay, now we are coming to the issue of the implementation of this peace agreement. Many people wondered, why is it this implementation really going rough and smooth and really not consistently or slowly in implementation? Who is responsible over the issue of over the slow implementation of this agreement from the parties?
I think that first of all, peace must be from here, from your mind. It is not what is on the paper. Peace must come from your mind. If you are not convinced that peace has come to your mind, even if it is written, you will see it as an enemy. And so what has happened is that parties, even when it is necessary to make a compromise, they don't. An impossible condition will be imposed on you which cannot be done. That has been the reason for dragging us all along. This is number one. Number two, there are no resources that are dedicated. You know, most peace agreements are implemented and they are expensive in terms of funds. And South Sudan government has been struggling to fund it alone. Our international partners, as you know, they have made a decision to see what we are doing, but they don't want to put resources to it. What they do is that whenever something that did not work the way they want, they will just criticize you. But when you ask them to come and be part of it, in terms of supporting the peace process, they run away. They say they don't trust the people of South Sudan. So this has been the problem.
Why are they not trusting the people of South Sudan?
I think it is them to answer that question. But
take into consideration you have been with Troika for the last few days.
Yes.
You had a meeting with them, and yes. I'm sure you throw that kind of question to them. Why are they escaping from
I think
skeptic?
The reason for me to call that meeting with the Troika ambassadors was to explain to them what we are doing as a party and also as a partner in peace agreement, because we have a reason to believe that Troika has not been getting the right information. Because if you look at their press statement and the press statement of Dr. Riek Machar when he was pulling out his members from the mechanism, they were even more bitter than Riek Machar. I mean, more opposition than Riek Machar himself. It really meant that there was a problem between, there was a communication breakdown between us with Troika, and we were trying to explain to them. I also impressed it on them that for their criticism to be credible, they need to also contribute to the peace in South Sudan. Their job cannot be a collection of information and use it against us. They also need to show that they are partners in peace and that they have a contribution to make, rather than reports writing them to their capitals.
What was their response?
No,
that meeting?
I think they appreciated the information they have gotten from us, and clearly they have all said that there has been a communication problem because no one is talking to them. Clearly they have said that, all the three ambassadors, and I appreciated them for that honesty.
But they are with JMX and this kind of these monitoring bodies all the time.
Which of these monitoring bodies do you think stands with the government of South Sudan? None of them. They cannot give positive information about South Sudan government. It is us to give it, not anyone else.
Okay, Honorable Peter Lam, some days back there was some political and security tension in Juba, and it happened that you have to meet the leadership. You went to the president, and you went to Dr. Riek Machar, who is the leader of the opposition. What did you tell them to the extent they accepted to actually cool down the situation, whereby people at least felt there is now people are on track about the peace?
You know, leadership is about crisis management and honesty. I met with our president, our chairman, and we discussed with him the issue of peace, that there was tension in the country because of what happened on the Sunday night. And what happened on Sunday night was a confusion. And so he said to me that the measure that was taken was in the best interest of the leadership. Because there were people writing in diaspora everywhere, even on telephones, that people wanted to create a problem. Somebody was told to go with a motorcycle with the AK-47 and start firing between the two houses of the two principals, so that they now start what happened in J1 again. And so for that to be prevented, a security measure was taken. It was not in the house around the house of Dr. Riek. It was an old perimeter where all the leaders were living. From the house on the road of the airport, it was blocked so that nobody comes this way. And then road from Oman away was also blocked, and road from Subjuba to this area was blocked. It was meant for their protection. But no one informed the first vice president of this security measure.
Okay, let us go for
that was the reason.
Okay.